Good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Talk. This is a show where we talk about whatever the heck I think of for the week and talk with some great top indie creators. So we always start things off with introductions. So let's start those off. Dash, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, my name's Dash. I am a indie author, more on the novel side than the comic side, but I've finally published my first fiction novel, and it's a doozy, if you will. So that's all about me.
Cool.
Right. John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm John Westhoff. I'm the writer, letterer, publisher for Part-Time Comics. And Dash, I thought you were a professional meme creator on the internet.
Sometimes.
If they gave that, if they had that job, Dash, you need to apply. You give me my good meme chuckles every day. Yeah. I'm like, I know I should be more diligent on my social medias, and as I look at Dashes, I'm like, see, I need to step my game up, but I'm too lazy. What can I say? All right, so Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Aaron Wrobleski. I'm the writer, creator of several series, Anenra, Ice and Bone, Blood and Fire, and my current series, Amor Patris, which is live on Kickstarter now.
Nice. And then we do have one more guest coming. He's just on the way. He was actually refereeing soccer, I think. So we have Matt, who's going to be coming a little bit later today. So when he comes, we'll let him introduce himself. And
I have to correct Aaron too. Aaron, I thought you were a professional podcast or video stream guest. I thought that was your.
I'm trying. I haven't got the badge yet.
Yeah,
Travis hasn't sent it me yet.
He literally didn't show his face for the first 2 years I knew him, and now every time I open a social media, there he is.
There he is. Yeah,
I'm trying the approach that if I bug people enough, they'll back my stuff. Just to get away from me, so I'll be quiet for a bit.
See, I back every guest on this show, so it works. If you come on, you get at least one back from me. But anyone that's in this room right now, I back you anyway. But it's sometimes I'll wait until the show. But I don't think I've missed one of John's projects or one of Aaron's. And Dash with your book. I mean, I got that. That's the one I can back so far until you make your book of memes, and then we'll all buy that one.
That's in the works for sure.
Yeah.
I've written a few novels, nothing published. So my hats off to you. It's a struggle to get these freaking things edited.
Yeah, I mean, I had to self-publish this first one. I don't know much about. I mean, I just wanted to try it. So now my next one, I may go and venture into the real publishing world. But I just wanted to get my first one out, but it's difficult. So yeah, it's
a good way to do it. I tell people that all the time with comics. You got to get through the first one to get to the 10th one. So just get it out there.
Yeah,
and
everyone has its own challenges in there. Even book number 12, you put it out and you think it's going to be easy, and next thing you know, there's no audience for it, or who the hell knows? There's always a challenge, and when you think you find out you don't.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, first topic of the day is the weirdest place you found an inspiration for one of your stories. So I have a few. My wife was battling me on mine, but I always go last. So Dash, what's the weirdest place you found inspiration for one of your stories?
I don't know if it's a place, more as there was this movie in the 1980s called I think it was Light of Day with Michael J. Fox and what's her name from Joan Jett. It was called Light of Day, I think it was. And the way he wrote a song, he was sitting with his little nephew, and the way he writes songs is he would watch a TV show, and in the middle he would just stop it, and the last word that was popped up on, or that he heard when he stopped the TV that's how he would write his songs. And that's kind of how the Hell Comes to Texas came along for me. My first novel was I was watching Supernatural, and it was the Dean goes back in time to the Old West, and that's kind of was like where my first inspiration for this book came from. And I always liked the movie Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood, so those two kind of meshed here. So that's kind of how I do it now. It's just like I'll watch TV and see something now, and that's where I get my inspiration. Where I got my inspiration for the one I'm working on now, which is Saturday mornings, is parroting all the old 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s cartoons that I grew up with. And, you know, instead of you got Scooby-Doo, now I've got Detective Dog and the Groovy Gang. So I'm working on short stories that match up with those. And that's just where my inspiration for those comes. So kind of just watching TV and then going, oh, that would make a really a great novel. And then, of course, our Wednesday night our Wednesday night chats have inspired a few ideas for novels as well.
Yeah, very cool. I know the one you talked about last week, so we'll wait for that one. All right, so John, what's the weirdest place you found inspiration for a book?
Well, first off, I read the question wrong when you first sent it. I thought it was like where you get your inspiration, and I'm definitely like a middle of the night idea guy.
Okay,
gotta get up and write it down, or in the shower.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know why those places work. Something about your subconscious, coming out at those moments. But probably the weirdest was for better or worse, drinking with some buddies, and we decided to take a ride to get some fast food. Maybe we probably shouldn't have, but one of my more inebriated friends in the back seat, we said it was late, and we said we're going to Wendy's, and he said Wendell's isn't open 25 hours. And from that, I and this story is much in the works now, but it's about there is a fast food chain on Mars, because Mars's rotation is different. The days are 1 hour or about 47 minutes longer. So I said, I need to find a place where this 25-hour fast food chain can be, and the story kind of just came from there.
Oh, that's funny.
Nice.
Yeah, I know the late night inspiration. I get that too. That's why I keep a notepad by my bed, because you wake up in the middle of the night. You're like, all right, I got to wake up. I gotta go run to the restroom. But holy shit, this idea sounds great. So it's just you rush through and you're like scrawling it down in a pad that's barely decipherable when you wake up in the morning. You're like, I can't read a word that I just wrote.
I'm big on the
kind of
phone
break
notes,
it all through.
Yeah, I'd phone. Yeah, I can't read my own writing, so I have to use my phone.
That's smarter. I would, but my eyes, ever since I had the eye surgeries, my eyes take time to adjust, and when I look at the screen, like I start seeing in strobe light, and I'm like, I can't get back to sleep. So it's just kind of a dull lit. We have a little plug in the wall that's our little night light, and that just writing by that and some chicken scratch, and I can dig through enough the next day to know, okay, that idea is going there, that idea is going there, but
just voice record it.
I was going to say do the voice recording.
And
then
while you guys are smart.
When you your mentionables in one hand, your phone could be in the other.
Yeah, hey, you know what? That's a better idea than my chicken scratch version. Just kind of talk into the recorder when I'm in the bathroom, and then get it the next day. So, all right, Aaron, where's your place your weirdest place you found inspiration?
The weirdest place, I haven't written it yet. It's a scene I'm wanting to add into my Enenra series. But we're at a water park with family. I was in the big slide in the queue going up the stand, and as I was just standing in the queue, I was like, okay, this would make a pretty cool scene for having the mutants coming out of the forest and like all hell breaks loose in the park, people falling, blood everywhere. So,
kids are having a good time. You're thinking about murder and
that's kind of my weirdest place.
Yeah,
but it kind of comes at the randomest times. I could be on a shitter.
Oh yeah,
and it suddenly a idea pops in my head. Watching, like Dash said, watching TV or films. You never really know where it strikes.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
All right, so Matt, welcome. Glad
What's
you could
going on,
make
fellas?
it today. All right, so we're on our first question right now, so we'll let you jump in. We actually, Aaron just finished. So, what's the weirdest place you found inspiration for a book?
Weirdest place I found inspiration. I will say, rooming with another referee at a national tournament. The guy was a like savant level pianist, like piano player.
Yeah.
And so I had taken about 8 to 10 years off from being a musician, and I was just kind of like collecting some ideas, and we were just sitting there bored after the tournament one day because they just put random people together, and he was playing me some of his piano tracks, and I was playing him some of just like the rough tracks that I had recorded, and I was sharing some of the lyrics, and I got to one point, he was like, dude, stop right there. Dude, that's unbelievable. You better record this thing and you better get it out. And that song is called Murky Waters, which was the inspiration for the character Murk, who is one of the main characters in Heirs of Isildur.
Nice. All right. So,
Nice.
So mine, the two weird places that I found inspiration, one was kind of along the lines of Aaron's, and that was It's a Small World at Disneyland. We're on that ride, and, you know, I've ridden that ride a million times with my kids, and all of a sudden the idea for Corruptor comes in my head. So I'm thinking about demons and, you know, mafia hitmen and all this stuff, while the jolly bouncing little animatronics are singing that song that gets stuck in your head. And it now, every time I ride that ride, I get ideas blowing up in my head for stories. So it's like It's a Small World has become the new story inspiration. So kind of like with Aaron, it's like, here you're in this happy place with a bunch of kids and you're thinking about murderous demons and other things in your head. So that one, and then the second one was the emergency room when I was getting my eye surgery and waiting for if I was going to get eye surgery, and then an idea pops in my head. So neither one is the place you really think you're going to grab inspiration for stories, but those were my two weird ones, and it's kind of tied for first. But yeah, I think It's a Small World. Anytime I go on that, it just gets ideas flowing, which is ridiculous because that is the least conductive ride for any kind of creativity.
Right.
Unless you want to talk in earworm.
You're trying to block.
Yeah.
You're trying to block out the annoying.
You don't want to think about the ride. Yeah. So yeah, that's my wife, and she was saying, yeah, I got off the ride. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this good story idea. So that's when I did use my phone for the notes. I'm like kind of just dictating the basic ideas in. But yeah, of all places, we're at the Disneyland with the kids, and there's the inspiration popping up. So yeah, you never know when it's going to come. That's why I always have a way. I guess with phones, it's easy now. I used to have notepads everywhere around the room, you know, in my classroom, in my car. But now your phone, you just dictate it in. And I still have notepads everywhere because I'm old school. But yeah, you guys made it. Now you have the point. If I get that late night inspiration, don't scroll it by the night light. You know, do it into the phone and then go back to sleep.
Well, I think my wife
house
is
down while you're whispering in your phone, you know?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I think my wife has caught on to when I'm actually thinking about my books because I just glaze over. Like, what are you thinking about? It's like, what? Nothing. It's like, you're thinking about books, aren't you? Damn it.
You're thinking about books.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot about one at my daughter's choir performance. They were singing a song, and it launched a whole story idea. So yeah, I got that glazed over look, and I told my daughter, I'm like, you were great, but I don't remember the last 5 minutes of your performance because a story blew up in my head. And she's just like, she knows, and she's like, do you ever turn that off, Dad? I'm like, oh, I wish, but
even when you're sleeping, you're always thinking of ideas.
Yeah. So that story goes dedicated to her when it comes out, because it's like, all right, your choir performance, you and the freshman choir, that's your story. It made it work. All right. So yes, always keep. I'm
just waiting for inspiration to come from your third grade Christmas program now.
No, I don't think I'll ever get inspiration from any of the performances I have to do at my school, because those songs they're dead to me after we finish. I never want to hear them again. After hearing and practicing and hearing them, sung by third and fourth and fifth graders, you just don't want to hear them again. And I'm not gonna say anything about their performances. They're third, fourth, and fifth graders. They do their best, but those songs, they're dead to me. I never want to hear them again. So no inspiration has ever come from the school performances we have to do every year. So, all right, let's talk about this one. This one I got when we were a lot of us are in the same group chat for indie comics, and we were talking about storytelling rules you break in comics. So, comics or novels, what's a rule that you break frequently? All right, so What do you think? What's one rule that you break, Dash?
I had one of my professors that would tell me not to use I dialect, and I dialect is when you write your characters the way they, like if you got a gentleman that's an Old West character, you don't have him use y'all and things like that. Don't do that. It takes, and I break I dialect all the time. If I've got a character that's a hillbilly, he's going to talk like a hillbilly. If I got a character that's very posh, they're going to talk like that. I don't like the I dialect rule. I never have. I don't, if you can't, I mean, this is my opinion. It might be why people don't read my books, but if you can't read y'all and not understand what y'all is, I'm sorry, but I break the I dialect all the time.
So there you go. There's one. Because I know we have comics and we break different rules in that one. So Aaron, what's one that you break when you're writing?
I struggled with this, to be honest. I couldn't think of any really rules that there were. I mean, I've not really researched rules for writing. I just write. So I probably break thousands. I just don't know what they are.
You don't know the rules you're breaking because you didn't pay attention to what they were to begin with. So
yeah, that's my
breaks them all.
excuse.
He's breaking them all.
What rules? I don't follow these rules. I make my own.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
The rules.
I'm writing my book how I want to write my book.
Yes, hey, that works. So what do you think? What's one that you break, Matt?
I just had two that popped into my head and then I lost them both. Okay, so one thing that as a rule that we like to break is that we want to make sure that everybody speaks a language that makes sense to the reader. What I mean by that is, it doesn't matter us if you've got somebody that's in a Japan type area or an America type area or a Europe type area. They're all going to speak the same language because, I mean, unless we need it specifically for a story point, comics are a small form. It's not like you're writing 80,000 words and you can kind of talk around it. You don't have the time in a comic or in a graphic novel to be, worrying about translations and all that. If you've got main characters, look at One Piece. One Piece has got people from all over the world, people that live underwater, people that are half humans, and they all speak English. And why do they speak English? Because they do, because if they wasted time on the other stuff, you would be taking away from the story. So that's one thing that we definitely do is unless it really matters to the story to have a different language, we're always going to be speaking in the same one.
Yeah, I kind of do those little dash symbols next to it to say they're actually speaking their native language, but it's in English. You read it in English, but they're actually speaking their native tongue. That's how I kind of get around it. I'm not sure if that's a rule breaking.
No, a lot of comics do that, and will in Russian or but then you don't have to, like Matt said, have a translator in the story explaining it because that just kills panels and time and
So John, what's one that you break?
Understand. I guess the only one I could really think of is I'm a big fan of the well, first off, maybe I shouldn't break it, but I'm often a fan of the scene change in the middle of the panel. I know we love our good page turns, but sometimes it just needs to be done in the middle of the page, or it just didn't work out, or the other previous, or I'd have to add more pages or make the previous page 9 panels, and that wouldn't work. So I do that probably too often. But the other one, I guess I break, and maybe it's not because that's not where the story arc was, but I'm often a fan of I break the hero's journey arc. I don't think the hero of the story always has to end up, with what they want or how you think, because often life is a series of down endings. So I'm often more of a fan of kind of the O. Henry type endings and stuff like that.
So I think the main one I break constantly is page count. I know comics are supposed to be 24 pages, and if I need 28, fuck it, I'm doing indie work. I don't need to make sure that it's exactly 24 pages so that Marvel can throw their ads in there, or
I didn't know that was a rule.
So 24, 28, 32. I mean, obviously I follow the rule of 4 because I wanted to print cleanly, and I just don't worry about it. If the story needs 32 to be told in its entirety, then you do it. So I think that's the only one that I consistently break. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to tell it with whatever pages I need. Granted, when I write more pages, I'm like, that's more money, that's more art fees.
Right.
It's going to be more printing costs. So you pay for breaking your rules, but it's you just want to tell the story. And if you ever did get picked up by one of the big publishers, they'd want you to trim it all down. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
No,
I mean,
that's definitely one that I do often. If it's the first issue was 19 pages and the second one needs to be 23, then that's what we're gonna do. As long as it's not just a filler material.
I can tell you that's funny that you say that, because I'm used to doing, the spined books for, 48, 56 page for Heirs of Isildur. And for Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress, we're forcing ourselves. We're like, this has to be a comic sized issue. And so like normally I do exactly what you do, Ed, but for this, we're like, this one has to be a comic sized issue because we want it to be a comic. We don't want it to be, spine book, because that costs a lot more to put the spine on there. And so, I'm trying to force myself to write it that way this time, which is, it's interesting chops you have to kind of figure out to make it be shorter instead of longer.
Yeah.
Oh, and I definitely don't want to say people shouldn't work in that, because like if you have a short story, you're in an anthology and they give you 6 pages, I think that's a great exercise for everyone to do. I've done page stories before too, and those are the hardest, right? Like to tell a story in 1 page is so very hard. So I do think everyone should try the restriction, but yeah, when it comes down to it, if you're like, all right, if I add 1 more page to this issue, it'll be better. Like Ed said, we're our own bosses. That's the best part. Why shouldn't we abuse that privilege?
Yeah, and I've done anthologies, and then it's always the trick. It's like you have 8 pages at the max, and you have to tell a full and satisfying story. It is a great practice because then you actually have to use restraint, where normally I practice no restraint. Like I'm going to tell it in however many pages are needed. And that's, even I had Chuck, who edits Immortal Era. He told me, like, you just skipped the whole battle scene and the whole build up to this battle, and you just went past it. I'm like, I was doing it kind of like Tolkien does. Well, they'll talk about it later. He's like, no, fuck that. That's boring. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to go write a battle scene. And now this book that was 24 is moving to 32. Because we need that in there. And when your editor tells you fix that because you're going to bore your readers, they don't want to hear about it in the aftermath. They want to see it happen. You go and you add that. So
yeah, they want blood, damn it.
That's pretty much. He's like, no, you were building up to this. You can't just skip it because you wanted to do it in a certain way. So yeah, that's when the edit. If you have an editor, you let them tell you what to do, because they're looking out for the best thing of the book, and they're not as connected to it as you are. So Chuck always yells at me, and I always try to battle him. I'm like, all right, this time he's not going to catch me on a bad page turner, and he's not going to catch this or that, all the things he normally comes after me. And then every time I thought I had him beat for issue 12, and then he's like, oh yeah, you misnumbered these 3 pages, so you got to fix that. I'm like, damn it, I thought I finally had him beat, and I'll never beat Chuck. That's I guess that's the moral of the story, is Chuck will always win.
The invincible Chuck.
Yeah, but he wins and for the betterment of the story. So in the end, everyone wins because he's helping the story be better, and he doesn't know everything that's going to happen, so he can say, all right, this is so unclear because in my head I know exactly what's supposed to happen, and I know all the motivations and everything, because anyone does. It's your story, but when you hand it to your reader, are they going to figure out what you're talking about? All right, so this next one I threw in here because I know a few of us in this room today. I know, Aaron, I'm throwing another music question at you, and this is not your wheelhouse, but what is songs or artists that have directly inspired your work? So we're going to go backwards this time. So John, what's a song or artist that's directly inspired your work? And yours is pretty easy in one case, I know, but
mine is pretty easy, and I've talked about it on the show before. Drumsticks of Doom is littered with it. That's kind of the purpose of the book, is to put those song lyrics and tropes in music to life. But I recently did a horror story with great artist out of Tennessee, Orlando Guzman. It was called It Remembers, and it's actually an Every Time I Die song. It's called It Remembers. It's not really about what it ended up being about, but for some reason the title stuck with me, and I'm like, what? And it just popped an idea. Like, what if there was this thing, this horrific thing that kept coming back to this town because it remembers. And I don't know why. And again, the lyrics aren't necessarily even about that, but just the title of the song itself just really stuck with me. And I think it's actually about like wolves or something like that. But yeah, that was one that I sat on for like a long time, and then finally was offered a horror anthology that it really fit in. So
very cool. And is that one out yet, or is that coming out?
It is. It was out last year. It is called Phantasmagoria is the name of the horror anthology, and it's actually it's an add-on in our current Kickstarter, which we'll talk about later.
Cool. I will have to get that one in there, unless I have already backed it, because there's a chance I have. I still have unopened boxes. It's like I'm so slow when it comes to that. So, what about you? And what about you, Matt? What's one that you have been inspired by? I know you have huge amounts of music and inspiration in yours as well.
So, as odd as it's going to sound, and it's going to sound like a cheesy answer, but that's a legitimate one, is being a songwriter and a metal musician myself. I've used it as a challenge for the Crossroads Conundrum for Heirs of Isildur. Every song on that album, there's probably half of the songs were inspired by real people and real events that happened. Somebody who I knew that was getting out of an abusive relationship, like literally like had to stab the dude in the face with a fork to stop him from beating her. Other people that were on the edge of suicide, things like that. They inspired me to write the song that went on the album. But then I took that song and was like, I want this song to be the backstory for a specific character. And so there are characters that we're still writing to this day that their backstory came from a real person and their event in life. And I'll even say in the book, you want to know more about this character, go look at this song. Now, I don't want people to think I'm like, oh, well, this character here is literally human person X over here. I just said, okay, this is going to be their backstory. Now, how can I make a compelling character where we can say, hey, this is their backstory. Now, how's their character going to move forward in the story? But that's what I've done, is use my own songs to be the inspiration for the characters.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that. All right. And I know Matt has actually, so for Dash, this applies to us, but Matt has given us an album for our next wave, and he's going to come in and hopefully get us a little bit of interaction with the band as well. And he says it's like nothing we've ever heard. So that's a challenge, because I listen to a lot of different music. So
that's the best part of the
I'm ready to be completely blown away. So yeah, Matt's got it. He's going to come and join us.
That's the best part of the show.
Yeah, you'll find out there's music, and then there's music that's hidden under rocks that Matt and other weirdos on the internet dig up.
I love finding the stuff under the rocks. So that's my favorite. So Matt,
that's
Matt
the
is
best
digging
part.
under the rocks for the little worms. And
I mean, I'm like huge into metal, and I'm telling you, Matt all the time is like, have you heard this band? They have 3 followers in Indonesia. I'm like, what the hell?
hey, I'll tell you this much. Hey, just for the record, the band that he's going to be, I'm actually going to see them in concert next week. So they're a real band that actually is on a world tour. So they're definitely not just 3 followers in Indonesia, but they're going to be fun.
Hey, even if they were, like I follow some bands. I have some Japanese post-punk bands that I love that have, I mean, at least in America, no followers at all, but
those are the best
so
things to find,
good.
Oh yeah. You look at a band like you're saying, there's a band like Wagaki Band from Japan, and you're like, who? Wagaki Band in the US, the last time they toured the US was playing in front of like 50 people in like the small bar down the street. And in Japan, they fill stadiums and everybody's got like their light. Instead of headbanging, everybody's got like a light stick that they do. And they're filling like 20,000 people arenas. And they literally are one step away from being in the Olympic opening ceremony in Japan. And they play for 50 people in the US. So you never know.
I mean, that's how it goes. And a lot of them never even make it out here. Like they if they come out here, they know they're not going to make a profit. So what's the point in even coming to America?
Expensive to tour in America.
That's what I find funny. Like K-pop is now like getting big over here. Like, well, in the last few years, K-pop. I was stationed in Korea, and I knew all these K-pop stars. And knew exactly. And so it's really and they're really good acts. But it's funny to see it now finally hitting over here when 10, 15 years ago, I knew who a lot of these people were because, being stationed in Korea, that's all you saw, So it was
sure
cool.
that was
so I get it,
thing out there.
Yeah.
I've just put a link in the in the chat. There is a band who is going to be featured in Enenra,
Okay.
the Ruckus. It's
Okay.
a Scottish rock band who my friend is the drummer, and we've kind of got together, and he's basically given me the okay to kind of feature some of his songs. So
Okay.
in the next issue Kickstarter, there's going to be another track that's going to be part of the Kickstarter rewards. So this one was from the last one. So all your readers and watchers can fill your boots with that. They're really good. If you like rock and roll,
Nice.
they're pretty good. So yeah,
Nice.
that's probably the closest I could get. But I really like them, and they're helping me with the campaigns and giving me free songs. So
Nice.
I love that. Yeah, I have a friend in a
Nice.
band who gave me one of his songs to use, so I gotta use that for another campaign. I've been using kind of just the free stuff that's out there, but yeah, it's great when you have a band that will let you do that. So yeah, my wife is suggesting we do a show about our favorite bands from other countries. So we could do that on our music show for sure. It's like, all right, what's your favorite band from another country that doesn't sing in English? Because during COVID, I went into so many weird rabbit holes with music. It's like, all right, I found Russian dark wave and French emo, and it was like I was just like, fuck it, I want to learn about everything because I'm very bored and I need something to do. So it was musical rabbit holes. But yeah, my musical inspiration, I have lots of little nods in my book to different bands and things like that. But the first issue of my book was written entirely to listening to Godspeed You Black Emperors, the Lift Your Skinny Fist album, and I played it over and over and over again. And that I even thanked them in the thank page. Not that they'll buy a copy of Immortal Era 1, or Immortal Era 2, I guess I thanked them in that one. But if they did, they would see their name in the thank you section because that music fully inspired issue 1. And it was just, my daughter was at t-ball practice and I was sitting there just kind of playing that in the background, and it was another one like, oh, idea struck, and I went and ran and grabbed the notepad from my car and was writing that while she was out there in t-ball. And I paused while she was hitting and make sure that I'm catching those moments. But there's a lot of moments where it's just like, all right, 5-year-olds tackling each other, and yeah, I guess you can see some of those. But yeah, it was when ideas strike, yeah, you like Aaron was saying, you get that glazed look in your eyes and like, this thing needs to be written. Whatever else is going on in the world needs to go on pause real quick.
Yeah.
So, all right. Our next topic.
I got one.
I didn't talk to everybody. I'm so sorry. So I talked to Aaron. What is yours? Sorry, Aaron and Dash. And then, yes, I'll get my brain back because I'm trying to get all the campaigns opened. And
who's going for? Go ahead, Aaron. You got one.
No, well, I did the Ruckus. That was mine. So
that's it. So all right, Dash, it's your turn.
Okay, my wife's from Jersey, so she hates Bon Jovi. She literally hates funny. Bon Jovi. So I had to write a movie script for school. And so of course I'm going to do something that so I can get her feedback when I'm writing this. I chose Wanted Dead or Alive, but I did it in a different way where where it's a little bit of a twist. Everybody thinks the bad guys or the robbers are the bad guys where they're not. So, but that was where the inspiration came from, Wanted Dead or Alive, and my script for that short movie was all about the bad guys getting away from the law, where the turnout the law was actually the ones that were the bad guys in it. But I know I ask a lot of questions on my Facebook, like you guys always, or my social media, like what song would be a great movie. So I always get a lot of inspiration from people out there that don't, are maybe not creators like that, but I like to hear what they think would be like a good movie. So I'll put like 4 or 5 different songs up and go, which one of these makes a great movie, and what would, or a song or a book, and what genre would it be? So I like to hear other people's
I did hear
as well.
Bohemian Rhapsody had a story behind it. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I heard that it was about him being in a gang, and the person he shoots was his first time in the gang, and he shoots him, and then it's it spirals of him dealing with with that. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I thought it kind of fits, and it makes it that much better listening to it.
Well, the
'cause
best
you kinda
story
get-
songs, right, are
It
the ones you
fits.
can't prove if they're true or not, right? That's what makes it
Yeah.
interesting for so long.
Yeah, so that's speaking of like films, that would be I think a kick-ass kind of short film or something like that, just with the music in the background and showing all the bits. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna pull up. I'm getting all these campaigns ready because we have some great campaigns going right now, and then Dash has a link to his book we can share as well. But for some reason, my Chrome does not want to show any of these, so I'm having to get them on a separate browser. So if I lost my focus for a minute, I apologize. I just want to make sure everybody's campaign is up and ready to go. So we're going to start with John. So give me just a second to pull this up, and we will talk about John's campaign. So 1 second here.
Anticipation is killing.
I'm sorry.
Believe me, I tried to
I
do
know
a
this
Facebook
is-
live the
but
other
see,
day,
this-
and it was like a nightmare.
Yeah, see, John, it's going to be worth the wait. That's all I can say, because it always is. And this one, actually, we did this. We did a topic on one of my shows, and it was about John's book. This particular one, the local comic shop book, because it was, if you were in the apocalypse, what book are you going to go hunt down? So we can think about that when he's talking about his book. But what's the key issue, the key book that you're going to go hunting in the apocalypse? Now that you know that comic shops, some are reduced to rubble, some are not. And what's the book you need to get if you're going to be in the apocalypse? So
Mine.
you're going for a
plenty of
copy of
those,
Inra #1, CGC 9.9. You got to go get a high grade. So I don't know. I thought about it, so we can think about it, and then after John shares about his book, think about what's the book you're going to go hunt down in the apocalypse. So
Put it in the chat.
with that said, let's check out John's book. Tell us a little bit about LCS 1 and 2.
Yeah, so LCS is the short pitch is a series of global catastrophes has left life on Earth decimated and made comic collecting a huge disaster. A group of survivors runs the last comic shop on Earth. So the basic premise came from, I love post-apocalyptic fiction, like many of us do, but it's also a very revered genre, things like, I Am Legend and The Road and The Walking Dead and all these great stories that it's just very intimidating to say, what is my story? And I couldn't really find it until I kind of got to the idea of, well, everybody thinks they'd be like running around and saving their families and making the world better and finding the cure to whatever is going on, but most of us would just go back to living day to day. And I know for me, I'd be trying to hunt down all the crap I didn't get because I had to go to my day job or whatever. Now I have the endless time to just build up my collection. So that was kind of where the impetus of the story started.
Yeah, and it's funny because I thought about that. I remember when I was younger and I saw The Stand. I watched that miniseries on TV, and I started thinking the same thing. Like, ooh, I could go get all the things. And at that point, I think I'm trying to go hunt down Transformers because I saw that when I was younger. I'm like, I could actually get a Megatron, and I could get an Optimus Prime, and all the toys that I wanted to get. So I had thought about the same thing, but I love that you brought it into comic books. So. Yeah, kind of going through your rewards. I love the art looks great. I loved issue 1.
Does it have to be a comic book?
It doesn't.
No, it does not. And as a matter of fact, Winston Gambro, I should mention, my amazing co-creator on this,
because
awesome artist. We have some ideas for some other stories too, because it definitely is about collecting, or our the bigger subtext of the story is it's about our obsessive collecting and how that impacts us and stuff.
Very cool. So and you said
I'm definitely going for the USS flag.
Stuff?
Who say that again?
The USS flag.
That's the G.I. Joe ship?
Yeah. the giant one, but you got to find one.
I
in the
said I'm
box.
definitely. I'm going for. Yeah, the big GI Joe aircraft carrier. I'm going for that.
You got to get it mint in box. If you're going through the apocalypse, you got to set the aspirations. Like, I'm going to get it mint in box so I can build it myself from the instructions. So yeah, there's one of the comic shops I go to down in San Diego has one fully built and on display, and I'm just like, oh man, that was what every kid wanted when Christmas rolled around, and only the kids with the rich parents actually got one under the Christmas tree. So yes, I can see why that one would be in your top list. I see you have all your other stuff, and I'm looking like, okay, I think I'm pretty caught up on all the John Westhoff books. I need to check on the anthology because that one sounds great. But if I do,
thank you so much, faithful supporter. But yeah, I usually do put our other books in here, just because it is all the umbrella of part-time comics. So for me, I don't need to worry about like the budget of this book and how it's crossing over. I know some people have, because they have co-creators involved, but I pay my co-creators their page rate, and then I'm able to kind of publish and do the books and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get all of our old books. Yeah. This is only a 2-issue limited series right now. You'll see in the subtext, I put the end and question mark in quotes because we definitely have a bigger story here. There's more stories you can tell in this world we're building. Hopefully people will like the characters and the kind of the twist of why they survived and everything like that. But yeah, I'm very excited. We planned it as a one shot, but decided it was better to break it up into 2 issues and see how we can get out there. And then, hopefully continue with some more next year.
Sweet.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right. So,
and ironically, I am not much of a key issue guy. I probably would get Amazing Fantasy 15. Spider-Man was the one who pulled me in. But beyond that, I kind of have all the key issues. I have all my Max issues. I have the first Marvel Hercules. Those are the books I like. I'd probably go more for the toy side. Nice. There's a bunch of Hot Toys, Star Wars figures I need. The Simpsons house Lego that is long out of print. I'd probably go more towards the toys, surprisingly.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel you on that because those Hot Toys. I mean, I collect Hot Toys, but it's gotten to a point where I can't afford them. They just keep going up and up and up. And luckily, I have some of the harder to get sets. Like I have the Han and Luke Stormtrooper ones that Hot Toys did, and I have the Chewbacca. So I made a cool display with those 3. But yeah, now you look at them, you're like, geez, thanks Hot Toys. I can't afford to do this without getting the wrath of my wife, who's chiming in a lot. So it's kind of like if I say, hey, yeah, I just bought like 5 new Hot Toys, and she's gonna come home with a scowl on her face. So I don't need that. But yeah, the Hot Toys, I love what they're doing. And then some of the Lego sets. Fortunately, I do have the Quickie Mart and the Simpsons house Lego sets. So I was lucky enough that I think she bought those for me on the Christmases they came out. So I'm fortunate to own those ones. They're not built yet, but they will be. It's not like I'd ever part with them. I just need to find the right place to put them in.
That's awesome.
So, all right. So Bad Rabbit.
Yeah, I'm going for the Apocalypse. I'm going for the Lego sets, the big ones, the Millennium Falcon.
That's what I need.
Because it takes you
$700 set.
Yeah, it takes you time to make it because of the Apocalypse. You got a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah, that's true. Ward off the zombies here and there, then build your Legos.
My daughter and I were at the shop, and I saw the Millennium Falcon. I almost had a heart attack. I'm like, Jesus, this is like
I got a mini one for Christmas, and that still took me 4 days to make.
Oh yeah, I'm slow as hell when it comes to Legos, but I mean, I'm not in a race, so I enjoy it. So Matt, what are you hunting down in the Apocalypse?
Okay, well, first, book-wise, I'm going to go the most boring route possible. I'm probably going to get like the Naked and Afraid survival guide because I want to know how to make sure to boil water and not, drink bad water and be like, dying from dysentery and stuff like that. So that's probably what I would do because I'm absolutely not an outdoorsman and do not like being in humidity, which is kind of ironic since I live in Florida. So I definitely want to figure out how to live in an apocalypse without like running water and, that kind of stuff and how to fend off the mosquitoes. But, absolutely, I would absolutely go in and raid every Lego warehouse I could. I'd raid every Lego warehouse I could because I'm a huge Lego fan myself. And like you were saying, the new Lord of the Rings stuff just makes me sick. I'm like, $400, no big deal. $500 set, no big deal. They have a $900 Star Wars set that's about to come out. I'm like, man, who can afford this? I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's for the highest of high-end people. And Oh man, you're talking about that. I mean, I'm still going after my key grail. I'm going after the Detective 27 because I want a first Batman. Then after that, once I have it, it's just gonna hang on the wall and look cool and impress no one because I'm in the apocalypse and probably some random shack. But the Lego sets, that takes some time, and I love that. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get that new Lord of the Rings set. I love the Eye of Sauron one. I remember I was in Disneyland and I showed my wife. I'm like, holy shit, look at this, and she's like, it's nice. I'm like, you don't understand. That's not just nice. That's fucking ridiculously amazing.
Yeah, they have a new Shire one coming out.
That separates us between the nice and
one. Oh no.
Yeah, they have a new Shire one that's going to be coming out too. And they have a few more. I'm like, this is making me sick, man. I'm like, there's like 4 digits worth of Legos just in the Lord of the Rings. I had all the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit stuff up until the most recent one. They're all on a display in my living room. Okay. I've got them all like LED backlit. I've got the Tower of Orthanc. I've literally got Gandalf jumping off the tower, hanging from fishing wire, and Smog on fishing wire in my living room. Nice. And I'm like, dang, man.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, dang, man. I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't have Rivendell. I don't have the Eye of Sauron yet, so I feel kind of incomplete now.
Yeah, and that sucks because you had them all, and
I had all of them.
You're now you have to start over again. So yeah, I understand. And the thing is, like you said, that's
I need a battle of Helm's Deep.
$1,000 minimum to get all of those. So
yeah. Battle of Helm's Deep. I've got that. And I also got like double Battle of Helm's Deep, so I can make that one even like twice as big in my living room.
You gave a lot more. How many minifigures did that come with originally? I would have to imagine.
Honestly, it didn't come with much, but when it came out, you could go to like Bricklink and different places and get tons. You could find people with lots on eBay. I probably got 50 extra orcs and whatnot and Uruk-hai and have them, in my little battle scene.
In that case, in the apocalypse, I'm just going to Matt's house.
I literally was just gonna say, if I could make some John Westhoff Kickstarter money, I would go buy all the Legos that I need.
See, so there you go.
I got all the stuff I want there.
I'll bring the Simpsons set over, John. We can finally build them.
Combine,
I'll bring the 2 Simpsons set. Matt has all the good Lord of the Rings stuff. So, and Dash just has some good stuff already. So all together, we can just have Lego fun in the apocalypse. One person stands outside with the gun to ward off any of the mutants or freaks. It's like, all right, we're building Legos here. Stay the hell away from us. Let us do our thing. We're just trying to peacefully live in a Lego apocalypse. So back off.
I'm writing all this down for the book now.
Yes.
In the apocalypse.
There you go.
All right.
So,
that's
there's your inspiration.
Issue 3 and 4, Lego Apocalypse.
All right. So let's do our next campaign. We're going to talk about Matt's campaign. So just give me a moment to get to it. This will be faster than last time because I have everything up now. I got them all open in one place. So when it decides to show this, hold on. Never mind. It doesn't like me. I don't know what's going on with Kickstarter, but it's been glitchy since I started trying to get everything up. So let me try one more time.
No dead air.
Yeah. That's why.
So I'll tell you. So Misfits Clubhouse is the campaign we're running
Misfits
right
Clubhouse.
now.
There we go. Let me get it. I can
Clubhouse,
pull it up now.
Campaign we're running right now. This is far different from the campaigns that we normally run. Normally it's deep fantasy, whether it's medieval, sci-fi, apocalyptic, steampunk, Far East fantasy. This one is just imagine the Goonies mixed with Saturday morning cartoons, mixed with Calvin and Hobbes, and it's just fun, ridiculous, silly little stories. This is called All the Shenanigans So Far because it's every short story we've created. They're between 4 and 16 pages. There's been issues that we released independently. There were some versions of it that were released in distribution through a publisher. This book, in one form, should have come out a little while ago, but it never came out. So we got the rights back and we actually added a whole bunch of extra stuff to it. And now we have All the Shenanigans So Far with even more shenanigans. There's 10 short stories from things like Pinball Madness, where they're having they get trapped in a pinball machine and have to fight their way out, to things like Talent Show Off, Glitch in the Matrix, Bruce McTutherson, Aquatic Investigator, who's their favorite episodic star, There's tons of fun stuff in this campaign. The big thing about this that we try to stress to people is, for whatever reason, when you say all ages, people think that's for babies. And we're like, no, this is not, this is not like Teletubbies. This is not, something like that. If you're flipping through the channels and Toy Story comes on, you're probably going to stop, but you're probably going to watch it. If you're flipping through the channels and the Goonies is on or something like that, you're probably going to stop and watch it. That's how we want you to treat Misfits Clubhouse. It's a fun book. It's something that you can enjoy. It's something that you can give to any kid that you know, and they're probably going to enjoy it as well. And we made sure there's collector items in here as well, so that way for the people that go on to Kickstarter that want there to be collectability, they have the ability to do that as well.
So is it, because I teach third grade right now, would it be good for third graders?
I can tell you right now, you could take that book into your third grade and they would think you are the coolest dude known to man for bringing Misfits Clubhouse all the shenanigans so far.
Then you know what? I will. I haven't got a chance to back it yet, but I always back your stuff, so it will happen, and I will be getting a copy for my third graders, and I will be I know this author, because then I can get my street cred up. They'll be like, damn, he knows people. That's amazing.
Now, Ed, have you watched the campaign video on this one? It's only 1 minute and 11 seconds long. Have you watched this thing?
I haven't.
You might want to do that. I think John Westhoff is saying you might want to watch this thing, right, John?
John agrees. And how can I argue with John? He will tell me what to do. So let me move it.
All you need to know about this campaign is in this 1 minute and 11 second video.
Cool. So here we go. Let's play it. Hopefully it plays okay, glitch free, because glitches are killing me today.
Is there no sound?
Oh, there's definitely sound in the video. I was not sure why it's not playing right now, but
Yeah, you got to click the little ellipses in the upper corner and do the sound. He doesn't hear us.
oh, okay. I was going to say,
Maybe he hears the sound and we don't.
Oh, okay.
All right,
type it in the
Matt.
Type it in the private chat, and you might not realize.
Oh.
Well, I'm
There's
sold
no
already.
sound,
Anyway,
Ed, there's no sound.
Yeah.
You got to click the ellipses in the upper corner next to sign in if you want to share sound to your.
Hold on. Yeah, I realize it's not playing.
Technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, because I was looking at. I have it on my phone over here, so I can make sure everything's functioning right. And I look at my phone and I see a black screen, and yeah, I do apologize.
It's all good. So while
technology hates me.
It's Misfits Clubhouse at its core is about four friends, Mickey, Fairy, Slothy, and Stig. Why is there a sloth and a ferret? Because we thought those would be fun, and that we thought it was fun to have a ferret and a sloth, and we've got some fun slothy merchandise in this campaign. And once we get to stretch goals, we might have some more. You never know. But it's designed to be fun. It's designed to be something where it's quick, short little things. Think about when you watch Looney Tunes. You watch a half-hour episode on Saturday morning, you get little cartoons in there that weren't really linked together other than Bugs Bunny or whatever it might be. That's how Misfits Clubhouse is set up. You've got, short little stories that are, fun little things that are very easily digestible. Let's put it that way. But it doesn't mean that they're designed in a way that are only digestible by a 3-year-old or a third grader. There's stuff that adults can have fun with as well.
See, I'll read it first, and then I'll give it to the classroom. I'll probably get a couple copies because,
I'm always so
third
shocked.
graders will beat books up.
We have this conversation so many times, and all ages is really. I don't get why it's such a hard sell because you're right. If you really think about it, most of our all-time favorite things for a lot of us are those that kind of cross over all those generational gaps, like you mentioned.
Yep.
Goonies and Toy Story and all those. It's not just animation, live action. So it doesn't mean it's for kids. Star Wars.
Yeah.
All ages just means, we're not crossing
all
certain
ages
lines,
welcome.
Yeah, I'm not decapitating any heads. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, kids can enjoy it, adults can enjoy it. You don't have to worry about the blood because every time I do a con and I always start flipping through the book and pitching it and you see someone start repulsing back, we're like, oh yeah, that's right, this is bloody. And with a book like that, you can be like, no, it's just fun. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna have a good time. And you don't even need to tell them it's an all ages book. You're like, this one, if you don't like blood, here, let's check this one out. I still don't have a blood-free book on my table.
Blood-free.
I need to get one so I can actually pitch. When I see kids come up, I just say, "Hi, how are you? Have a sticker," and move on because this book's not for you. But then they're like, "Oh, are you kidding? My kid watches Invincible. They'll be fine." I'm like, "All right, in that case, here you go. I got your reading material."
Ed's going to have to become a wholesale dealer for Misfits Clubhouse. That way you have a.
So there you
There
go.
you go, Ed.
Walk
There's
it at my table, like, all right, this book is not by me, but I highly recommend it. And I can give all the third graders who have endorsed it, like, all right, 20 out of 27 third graders say it's the best book they've ever read. The other 7 are still down with Captain Underpants, and you're never going to beat them.
Never.
We are, as of this morning, we actually had a pretty significant backer come in while I was refereeing soccer this morning. We're just under $400 away from our minimum ask. So that's good. We tried to set it in a conservative ask for this thing, as we know how these things normally perform and we know what the economy is, because we really like getting to stretch goals. The stretch goals to us is where the fun really begins in a campaign. And the worst thing that can happen is, and Aaron, of all people, we know what Aaron knows when you have to get down to the very last second before a campaign is going to fund. You don't have a lot of room for a stretch goal when you're like counting the seconds down. So we wanted to give ourselves
30
the opportunity
seconds.
to get there. Yes. We want to give ourselves room. We've got some stretch goals that are going to be fun for this campaign.
And there is a 25 pack for retailers, Ed. 25.
Okay,
Yes.
but I don't think my third graders want to read that one. So
we have 5, 10, and 25 packs. Yep.
yeah, the
Oh, you have
LCS. Well, yeah, okay, so you have them. So there you go.
you have
I'm
multiple. I didn't
thinking,
notice
I think in a 5-pack would be perfect because I will legitimately put it in the class. I have like Caleb's Super Cats book. I have that in my class, and yeah, the kids love it, and they reach for those ones over and over again. So I love to put indie creators into the classroom library, as long as not my book. Yep. They're not going to look at that one. They're not going to be reading Aaron's book. Sorry, we don't need parents yelling at me about their kids having nightmares about the gray man or something like that. So
I mean, come on, the kids nowadays are living in a cloudy bubble. They need to be scared now and again.
Oh no, the stuff they tell me they watch baffles me. I'm like, damn, do your parents pay any attention? But
right.
That's up to them. Parents do what you want, but when they're telling me like, oh yeah, I love South Park's, like, really? Ew, I don't know. I don't think you should.
One of the things we did in this campaign too, because we know as creators that there's not a lot of dollars to go around, and you want to try to support as many creators as you can. And when you've got a book that's a graphic novel, your PDF is normally not going to be something that's going to be in the lower dollar range. So the PDF on this one is $10 for the whole book. We did a tier called Sample Size Me, since Misfits Clubhouse is all short stories. There is a $5 version of the PDF that's just going to be like basically the size of a single issue. So like a 24-page issue with just a few of the stories that are in the book, and limited stretch goal capabilities. But we did that so that way, if you're a creator that wants to go and support it, and you're like, dude, I don't have $10 to drop on this campaign because I want to go support a couple others as well, you have the ability to still support it, and not just throw money at the campaign and say, I'll back it without receiving something. We want everybody to get something out of the campaign.
Nice.
That's great.
I love that. That's a good idea. All right, so let's talk about a book that's not for the third graders. Aaron, tell us about your book.
Haha. Amor Patris, it means father's love in Latin. It is a supernatural horror. So if you like The Nun, The Exorcist, The Conjuring, this is right up your alley. It follows a small town sheriff who answers a dispatch call for a local disturbance. And all he finds is blood, death, and madness. And his investigation unearths that exorcisms are real, and it kind of starts to implicate the Vatican and their practiced rites of exorcisms. So you kind of get thrust into it in issue 1. Issue 2, the investigation kind of finds a father and son duo who are going all over America performing unsanctioned exorcisms. And as the video says, not all are fully documented and not all are successful.
Yes, and the video wouldn't say anything because if I tried to play it, it wouldn't have sound.
Sold.
I know, and I got a really cool voiceover, dude.
No, I was enjoying Matt's video, but I was the only one apparently. Yeah, but I love the
But yeah.
artwork that you have for this book. I mean, it's like that dark black and white is just so it just grabs you right away. You don't even need to read it. Just be like, damn, this is going to be some dark shit, and it works beautifully for that.
Yeah,
I
Hernan
will
Gonzalez is
accidentally leave a copy in my third grader's hands for this one. So.
Oh, The Exorcist is my.
Oh, Dash lagged at the wrong time.
Oh,
yes.
Dash, did you say so?
Dash,
Yeah,
your
I lagged
dial
at
up
the wrong
internet
time.
is acting up again.
I was just gonna say The
well.
Exorcist is. Yeah, The Exorcist is the best movie ever. So you got me sold on this one.
I do have a
it
variant
looks
cover
great.
for issue 1, which is The Exorcist.
That was a
I
good
mean,
one.
I think
Good
if you scroll
homage.
down the rewards, you probably see it. So I have variant cover for each issue is going to get like a film, TV series kind of homage. So the first one was The Exorcist. This one is The Nun, and I've got a few other ones lined up. You know, when I fund. Yeah, it's I got a lot of merch.
All the merch.
I'll try. Nowhere near as good as Carissa, but I'll try.
You're getting there, man. You got
Yeah,
close.
you don't have hot sauce, so
No, I
you
don't
gotta
have-
get like Lori's hot sauce and
Oh,
the
you could do
craziest
some sort of
merch you
blood
can
sauce
think
or
of.
something.
Yeah, Lori is the queen when it comes to
Oh,
that.
have you,
She's so creative with that stuff, man. She's so creative. She binds her
Yeah.
own books. I'm like, that's
she does most
nuts.
of her own.
There
You
you
should
Yeah,
have
she
her
makes
make you
those
some
wooden
hot
ones
sauce.
that she does herself. So I mean, yeah, Lori.
And
When
can
you
call it,
talk about that, you have Carissa and you have Lori, and they are the queens of merch. And I'm just like, all right, I got some stickers. You can buy.
You could have
those.
Lori make you some like exorcism sauce or something.
I could
Yeah.
try. I mean, I have put a disclaimer that if you do buy or win the little pin button, it's not magical. If you do perform exorcisms, we are not liable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Let's
disclaimer.
not have rogue exorcisms start because of your book.
Yeah.
We're gonna see like a newscast, like inspired by the Amor Patrice book. Rogue exorcisms have been occurring over the whole, tri-state
Hey,
area. Where
Ozzy Osbourne taught us there's no such thing as bad publicity.
There you go.
Hey, I'll take it.
All right. So, Dash, let's talk about your book. Yours is on Amazon, so I think it'll let me share, hopefully. And then I'm going to put all the links in the chat. If you want to put them in yourself, go ahead. I will pull them up right now. But right now, I'm going to go to Hell Comes to Texas. Let me get it shared for everyone. So there we go. Tell us about your book, Dash.
Yeah. Basically, all right. Basically, this is all about again when I was watching Supernatural and Dean goes back in time to fight the Phoenix in the Old West. I was like, well, we've seen Supernatural and they've all got their gadgets and the computers and things like that. Well, how did monster hunters and ghost hunters and things like that do that without the internet or things? How did they know how to fight and things like that? And that's what Hell Comes to Texas is about. Plus, if you are a fan of Pale Rider and the Clint Eastwood movie, kind of a little bit of backstory in that as well. Colt is a former Texas Ranger who his wife is killed by a demon, and he's on the hunt now to find that demon, and he has to find himself along the way, and he loses faith, he loses trust at times, and so again he has to kind of find his way and has a lot of backstory. This thing went through like 4 different rewrites. I started this almost 3 years ago, and it went through 4 different rewrites, 4 different main bad guys, and I finally settled on where it is now. But this started as a small time thing in class, and it just blew up from there.
Nice.
And I'm excited where it went, and I can't wait to see where it goes from there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have 4 rewrites. That sounds about right. I think I did 11 drafts of the first Immortal Era issue, so it comes with the territory. But that's it's good. It shows that you put attention to detail. If you go, hey, I wrote it in one perfect draft, then you got to worry. Then you gotta
Ain't no way.
you gotta hire Chuck and he'll yell at you and you'll deserve it.
So is this a
He might
one-off,
still
or
yell
is
at me.
is this a one-off, or is it part of like a series?
I hope to keep it going as a series. I set a goal for this novel alone. I set a goal of 50 books, and if it hits that 50 books, then I'll see where it goes from there. I still probably do. We're sitting right at about 34 books sold on it already. So, but yeah, I'd like to keep it going because there's a nice little cliffhanger at the end of it.
And don't you have a book coming up as well, or not a book signing coming up? Sorry.
Yeah, I've got a book signing. There's a nice little local bookstore that is in here, like not even a half mile from my house, and we're going to be doing a book sale and book signing in there. So I'm excited to do that for my first one, I guess.
That should be fun. And that should get you to your 50, I would guess. Because, I mean, I've seen whenever I do those little local ones, they seem to really want to support the local authors. So hopefully you get your 50 goal hit at that one.
But we're doing good. I'm just impressed that it got 33. So even at that, I love it. And because my wife's always like, well, did you write it to have me? No, I just wrote it to tell my story. And so I like where it went, and I can't wait.
That's great. I mean, that's great.
And again, I'm
first book,
working on and kind of like Matt's down there, and just I have a short story of Saturday morning cartoons, kind of parodies like Matt was talking about, that I'm working on now. So I got Detective Dog and the Groovy Gang. Monty Millionaire, who's Richie Rich, based off Richie Rich. So I've got some spoofs and parodies that I'm working on as well. So
nice,
working on that right now.
Maybe suggest having like little flyers or something, cards in the books that prompts them to, like, with a QR code, to put like a review in your Amazon, because more reviews,
excellent,
it goes up on the algorithm.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Those are huge for Amazon. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
so
maybe even make the last page of the book have a QR code or something.
Yeah,
or just like a little flyer.
I will do that.
Stick them in sign it.
Well,
sign
at the signing for sure,
yeah.
but when you print them on Amazon,
yeah,
you could.
Don't
forget
throw
to
the QR code in to begin with, because I know you're allowed to do edits on the Amazon, so get that in there and make sure people go and leave those reviews.
Dash, are you familiar that you can edit things on Amazon? Did you know this?
So Dash, have you seen? Are you able to edit on the Amazon?
I had to.
I know you had a snafu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the best way, man. That happens.
Yeah, I had a snafu on a couple of things, and
people proofread it for you. That's why you send out your digital copies before you go to print, and you're like, "Hey, thanks, man."
Yeah, I get a lot of eyes on it, so that's all you can do, and yet some of the eyes will still miss something. It's inevitable.
But if they catch spelling errors, that means they were paying attention.
Yeah,
into the book.
And I think it's easier in a comic book because you're just looking at smaller bubbles and not paragraphs and paragraphs. It's easier to miss something in a novel than it is in a comic book, because I have it read 3 times in the comic, and fortunately we've made it. I mean, I think I've had like 1 or 2 commas that I wasn't happy with, but that's about it. But it's bubbles, and in the main script I miss a lot of things, but you don't have to fix your descriptions because no one's going to read those anyway.
Right.
We had a typo like that in Tales from Nocturnia, where, because we did it as its own series, like individual issues that we did a trade, and then we did the revised trade where we relettered it, add some stuff in there. We're doing the revised version of the trade. We found a typo that made it through both the individual issue and the original version, because it was like one of those words where you can spell it 2 different ways and it's completely different meaning, and it was very obvious. And we got to, we were like, I was like, oh my goodness, how did this get through? I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous that so many eyes saw it. We read it, it happens, but it was one of the most egregious, ridiculous ones. But you see a word, it's spelled right, sometimes your eyes just go right over. You don't even think
Oh,
And it's just using the wrong context.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, because I always read it
We all
aloud
have
to
it.
myself, and when you're reading it aloud, you're going to read it like it's supposed to be, and yeah, just jump right over it. All right, so I'm going to quickly share mine. I have Immortal Era 1 through 10. Campaign is over, but we still have late pledges available. So if you haven't got this issue yet, this is the 10th issue of the larger series Immortal Era. It's going to be 24 issues, but we're getting close to finishing out this particular story arc. So everything is still available, or mostly everything is available for late pledges. So I'm not going to go through it all. I've talked about it before, but it's the world 200 years in the future where everyone has become immortal, and the quest to restore the natural life cycle and save humanity by killing them. And that's the basic premise of the story. They're getting closer to collecting the next relic they need to return death into the world. But of course, there's always major obstacles. And this issue sets up huge obstacles that are going to have to be overcome in issues 11 and 12 when we wrap up this second story arc of the series. So if you haven't got it yet, feel free to check it out. It is still available on with the late pledges. And we've had a few late pledges already. So thank you for those who have grabbed it as a late pledge. And the books will be in about a week from what I last talked to the printer. So once the books are available, I'm going to remove the late pledges because I'm going to be racing to get issue 11's Kickstarter up and running, because the artwork for 10, 11, and 12 is all complete. So that means we're just going to be blasting through this year, closing out this story arc, and hopefully getting that next trade, because the wait for the trade mentality is such a real thing, and people will not buy your floppies to save their lives. They're like, no,
I know. I'm sorry.
I know there's a trade coming. I will.
I'm
wait
one of those
for
dirty trade waiters. I only have it in trade. But hey, you
I
can
know
pick up
you
the
got
trade
you got
probably
the
in
you got the
campaign now.
trade of issue 1, or you got the volume 1 trade and volume 2. I'm hoping December, although I know December campaigns are traditionally not great. I did one and was not impressed with it, but I think I will do it probably in January, do a make 100 thing with it and go that way. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably get the trade off you at Nashville and get you to sign it too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll have that. And I think I have all of your stuff, but whatever I'm missing, I will fill the holes. And we still got to talk about it because we're both going to be at Nashville. We got to do something to get people to all of our tables.
Yeah, if you bring your stuff in, I'll sign it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I don't have is your signature. So I will bring a few of those. I mean, now, luckily,
everybody's going to Nashville. Now I'm bummed I can't go.
Yeah, because Carissa's going to be there. Aaron's going to be there. We're going to.
Yeah, my first one.
It's one of the few conventions I've actually gotten accepted to in the last few years, and of course now I can't go.
Oh, that sucks.
Can everyone do me a favor for DM Ray, who just can everyone turn slightly to the left?
Yes. So DM Ray, who's going to be joining us again on our music show.
Profile I've ever seen him in. He never faces for it.
Yeah, I think when he was on, when we were talking about Taylor Swift, you're like, all right, I've never seen you. So he turned his face for a moment. So we're like, aha. Just now I know what he looks like from this angle.
It's like a Simpsons character, Simpsons characters rarely face forward.
Yes. So I think he's joining us for another music show. And yeah, with that, thank you all for joining us today. Let's go through and tell people where they can find you. So Dash, where can we find you?
Always on Facebook, always. And I'm building up an X right now because the wife wants me to start promoting on X. I don't know anything about that. So, but Instagram and Facebook is where you can mostly find me, and YouTube. Sounds
good. All right. Aaron, where can we find you?
Likewise, Instagram, Wrobleski Aaron. You can find me on Facebook. I have Facebook groups for all my series. So Enenra, Blood and Fire, Ice and Bone, Amor Patris, and I've even created a new one for my future project, Pillars of Creation, which are science fiction horror. So I've just started that. So I'm kind of dabbled between them.
Sounds good. All right. So Matt, where can we find you?
First and foremost, go to tinyurl.com/M Clubhouse. That's how you get to the Misfits Clubhouse campaign. We have one coming out in May, which is going to be a brand new series for us, Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress. You can go to Tatsumi, which is TATSUMI TSM for Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress. But if you want to go see everything about In Symmetry Creation, see our music videos, listen to some of our music, see the columns that we write, you go to linktree.com/InSymmetry Creations, INSYMMETRY Creations. That's where you want to go.
Sounds good. John, where can we find you?
And I'm John Westhoff again, the writer, letterer, publisher for Part-Time Comics. The best place is right here. Part-Time Comics with an X. You'll find us on all social medias, and I'm usually on there pretty much every day, yakking about silly stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, you make me want to step up my game. I gotta get more engaged on the TikTok and the little short videos, because I did one just kind of like touring my table at one of the cons, and it got a lot of engagement. So I'm like, all right, I got
the videos, man.
I got to start doing that because I have so many cons coming up. It's like my next 2 months. It's almost one every 2 weeks. So I'm going to be out there, and that's the way I can still kind of share what's going on, because I won't be able to do a lot of the Saturday shows because I'll be doing the cons. So you can find me, Finish Line Comics, all the different social medias. I barely engage with X, so you can find me there, but you'll find a account with lots of dust on it and not much happening. But you can also find us Wednesday nights. Dash and I will be here talking about Ryan Bingham next week. So that's my next task, to go and listen to that album and take some notes after this. So yeah, and then Matt's going to be joining us with his new band that I've never heard about in my life. So I'm ready. I'm ready to hear something that will sound different, and then I'll throw something different your way. Some of my weird indie Japanese bands or something, so we can have some fun.
I'll have to put forward the ruckus for your stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm going to play some sponsor ads now, and then we will see you next week. I won't be on. I'll be doing a walkthrough of WonderCon. I'll be at WonderCon all weekend. So next weekend we won't have guests. I'll be doing a walkthrough of WonderCon. After that, I'll be on, and then the next weekend after that, more cons. So I think I have one show in April, one show with guests, and the rest are all going to be con walkthrough. So yeah, you can see kind of all the different cons that I'm at. And until then, back these campaigns. I've backed them all. I haven't backed Matt, but Matt will soon also be found in a 3rd grade classroom in Fontana.
Yes.
That's going to be the new spot that we can find Matt and his book and increase my street cred with the kids. Like, that guy knows authors.
Hey, to increase your street cred, you need a more Patrice in there too.
Yeah, that'll increase my parent complaint cred in that one. So, all right, let's check out some sponsor ads, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.
All right, here's our next sponsor. All right, let's check out the next one.
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition. with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City the Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
All right, and our final one of the day, check them out. I played the wrong one. I apologize.
It's Flip City Magazine.
All right, I think that's it then. We got all our sponsors in here, and I apologize. My eyes, my brain. It was a long night. I got in late. So now with that said, we will see you next week.
Click on the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Oh! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe.